In the midst of the darkness, God has sent us His light. There's no need to be anxious. He will lead in our fight. If you've been called by the Savior, you will surely win. All you have to do is listen. Let your soul take it in. There's no need to worry.
Welcome, everybody, to the Trust in the Lord Hour. I'm your host, James David, Trusting in the Lord Manning, broadcasting from our studio located in our church building. And our church building is located in the community formerly known as Harlem in New York City. But God Almighty has changed the name of this community to Outlaw. How's everybody doing today? Pray that all is well with you. We actually mean that, at least for some of y'all. I'm not sure for everybody. But, we do pray for you in the mornings. Our first thing on our agenda every morning when we go into our prayer closet is to pray for your well-being. So you've been covered today in prayer. Got a lot of things to cover today. Subject matter, of course, continues now. The teaching, that's probably one of the longest I've done in some time, is the Alpha and Omega series, the beginning and the end. Jesus says in Revelation chapter 22, verse 13, I am the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. And of course, John, the gospel writer, the maverick gospel writer, John writes in chapter 1, verse 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So when Jesus says he was the beginning, he says he's the Word, he was God, and he is God. He is the God of the beginning. It makes a lot of sense, don't you think? That Jesus is the God of the beginning, not the God of the second move. Some people say Jesus is the God of the second movement of the New Testament. That Jesus didn't have anything to do with the Old Testament. Ridiculous. Preposterous, absolutely asinine thinking. But a lot of people are crazy enough to believe that. No, Jesus said he is the beginning, and he's going to be, and he is the end as well. Now, today the subject matter is we're on phase or chapter 16 of the Alpha Omega series, and the subject matter today is that planet Earth is on death row. Then there's some subtitles to that, which means I said the talking serpent in Genesis chapter 3 lied about death. And then the second would be only the righteous, not the religious, will see God. We were able to discuss this together last time you and I were together, that religious people don't have any claim to heaven. Only the righteous people, no denomination. Jesus never started one. He didn't even start Christianity. But he did endorse righteousness everywhere you look. We're now studying in the book of Matthew, chapter 10, verse 40 and 41 and 42, where Jesus said that he that receiveth a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. And he that receive a righteous man in the name of a righteous man will receive a righteous man's reward. Religion, denominations, Baptist, Catholic, Presbyterian, whatever it is, Methodist that people are, is not anything primarily that you can rest assured on that will get you any kind of eternal life. But righteous is something that is biblical from Genesis to Revelation. It's not a denomination, it's the call of God. Righteous, and it's what Noah preached for 120 years. According to 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 5, Noah preached righteousness for 120 years, and nobody paid him any attention. But Jesus also comes along and says that if you receive a righteous man, you'll receive a righteous man's reward. We've been talking about that, preaching about it, teaching about it. Going to do more teaching about it on this coming Saturday at the Outlaw World Missionary Church pulpit of Power Grove. So only the righteous will see God, not the religious, not the Baptists, not the Methodists, not the Catholics, not the Presbyterian, not the Episcopalian, not the Anglicans, not the Quakers, not the Jehovah's Witnesses. Only the righteous will see God. I said that the serpent is lied when he told Eve, you will not die, because she wasn't even aware of that. She had been told by her husband, who had been told by God, that Eve had been told by her husband, who had been told by God, and we can read this in Genesis chapter 3. And now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, now this serpent is talking. I can be pretty clear that the serpent was quite subtle. He looked like the dragon, probably very tall, maybe like a giraffe, even as tall as a giraffe, with a long tail and a long neck. The serpent was like a dragon. Remember, Jesus calls him the dragon in Revelation chapter 20, verse 1 and following. But now that Satan has entered into the serpent, he's got the snake talking. So you got a talking snake, that's probably taller than Eve. Probably more colorful, because serpents are really very beautiful colored. I mean, they're very beautiful. Their colors, their dimensions. I mean, it's a wonder how God has put the serpents together. I mean, the lions are beautiful too, but my God, the serpent. Anyway, and the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the tree, of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, we shall not eat of it, neither shall we touch it, lest we die. Verse 4, and the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, for God knoweth that in the days you eat thereof, and now he is really railing on God. This is bodacious what the devil is doing. He's saying God is keeping something from Adam and Eve. He's saying actually the serpent is calling God a hypocrite. That God ain't full bloom, that he ain't telling the truth. He's telling Eve that you'll die, but the devil said, no, that ain't it at all. God knows if you eat of it, you're going to be wise, and God want to keep you dumb and stupid. That's what this is a bodacious move by the devil. And so we're going to deal with that, all right? He always makes bodacious moves. You ought to listen to Joel Osteen. If you think this devil was something, you ought to listen to that devil called Joel Osteen and the moves that he makes. And that one called T.D. Jakes, the moves that they make. Or the ones called Joyce Meyer, the ones that they make. If you think this is a bodacious movement by the devil, lying on God. But here, let me just do a couple things here. So planet Earth is on death row. God told Adam, and Adam told Eve, and Eve told the devil that you eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil in the midst of the garden, you're going to die. She ate, and death is now on planet Earth. But a major mass execution date we don't know what day it is, but it has been scheduled for the whole earth to die. So everybody on planet Earth right now is on death row. And even where they're not, the tribulation, and many of you may not be aware of it, someone wrote to me the other day and said, Pastor, man, a lot of people don't know what the tribulation is all about. I understand that. Just don't have time to teach it fully today. But you can read it in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 24, where God talks about destruction, wars, famines, pestilence, earthquakes, and all that kind of thing, and says that the killing is going to be so prolific that if those days of the tribulation were not shortened, that there'd be no flesh be saved in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 24, verse 22. So bone up on that on your own. But according to that structure, the Earth is on planet Earth everybody on planet Earth is sitting on death row, and even where that prophecy of Jesus not given, and many people don't believe it, but every human being right now is on death row except for a very special group of people. And I'm one of those special group called the elect. But everybody else on the 7 billion people on planet Earth is on death row. You're going to die. You're going to die. And the tribulation is similar to the death experiences of most individuals who die, in their sleep or an automobile accident or some other way. Don't know the day that they're going to die, but they do know they're going to die. Planet Earth is on death row. I have labeled myself, I've given myself this title, Nobody else will do it. There's such animus in terms of the things that I do. I've given myself the title of man for all seasons. By that, I mean that I've experienced most everything on planet Earth that anybody can experience. And, you know, everything from picking cotton to the chain gang to, you know, to being a pastor, being lifted up, to actually meeting Jesus the way Moses did, you know, meeting Elijah. I mean, I've just gone through all those experiences that can be, you know, that the human being can experience. And to some degree, a semblance of some kind of wealth. I don't have any wealth now, but when I was a burglar, I did. You know, I know what it was. When I was a burglar, I could, you know, I understood the experience of never having to ask the price of anything when you wanted to buy it. Whether it was a car or anything else, you just go buy it. You're not worried about the price because your money is long, the way they say in North Carolina. But the one thing, and so I said I'm a man for all seasons, but I have to step back and I have to be up front with you. The one thing that I have not experienced in terms of the humanities experience is, and I've been tortured, I've been beaten, I've been left for dead, I've been deserted, I've been lied on, but I've never experienced sitting on death row like many prisoners do, which is a horrible thing. You know, you sit there and you wait and you make an appeal to the courts, and you make another appeal, it gets rejected and denied. You make an appeal to the governor, he denies it. The hour is ticking by. You're going to be executed at 12 o'clock, and the governor at 10:30 said, no, he's not going to commute your sentence. I've never had that experience. I've never had that experience. And most people that have had it cannot tell us what it's like. I mean, it's one thing, you know, to be killed in the midst of a fight or in the midst of a war, you know, but it's another thing to have death certain. You're going to die in 3 months, death certain, and you're sitting on death row. I've never had that experience, and you don't know anybody who has had it, who has lived to tell you what it's like. Now, there have been a few people escaped death at the last minute. Governor commuted their sentence, so the courts, you know, moved to commute their sentence, or somehow or another they were able to escape. But there's very few and far. So, but right now, in a generic sense, all of planet Earth is on death row. And, you know, today in the Alpha and Omega series, it's important for me that I continue to teach you. It's because I taught you a couple of weeks ago about that death itself is simply a curse. And the whole planet is under the curse. The entire planet, everybody on planet Earth is on death row.
Okay.
In other words,
I found this on the web for Is It Important for Me? That
oh, no.
because
I don't think so. That's Siri. Good Lord have mercy. Go away from here, girl. You got Siri in this. I touched something. I don't know what I did. So where was I? So, you know, everybody that is on planet Earth is slated to die. Paul writes, it's appointed to every man to death. So to think of it in the, you know, you think philosophically about this, that when you look at globally, there is nobody that's exempt from death. You don't matter how much money you have. You can be a gazillionaire. You can be as rich as Warren Buffett or Mike Bloomberg. You can have billions of dollars. You could be as rich as the sultans over there in Saudi Arabia. Or you could be as powerful as a president of the United States of America. But you're still on death row. But now listen, check this out. Check this out, Evangelist Hundley. Evangelist Hundley, check this out. Check this out. As powerful as the death sentence that every person on planet Earth, good or bad, righteous or wicked, everybody is sitting on death row, right? Everybody on death row, except a few people. Except a few people called the elect. There's a few people, according to Jesus, this powerful, pervasive, all encompassing. Every person, rich or poor, great or small, righteous or wicked, is going to die, except a small group of people called the elect. Jesus said, Matthew's Gospel 16:28, some standing here that shall not sit on death row, but they shall see the coming of eternal life in the second coming of the Lord Jesus Christ. I mean, think about the majesty of that, and think about the uniqueness. Think about the uniqueness, Evangelist Huntley. Think about the uniqueness of that position. And I'll tell you one other thing too, by the way. I'll tell you this. The devil knows the people who are the elect. Even the elect don't necessarily know they are the elect, but the devil knows who they are. He knows who they are. And you are, when you are a member of the elect, you sit above the kings of the earth, the presidents of the earth, the billionaires of the earth, the whoever of the earth, the they are on death row, but you are exempt. And just a small group of people reach such a status. Just a small group of people reach such a status. Yeah, I had a vision once. And the devil, this is going some years ago down in North Carolina. I had the vision here in New York. It was in North Carolina. We had a briar patch out from our field, and it was encumbered with a lot of growth, a lot of undergrowth, bushes. It was not ground that had been cultivated. Had a lot of briars in it and weeds and old brush, and some grew as high as 3 feet, some small grass. It was very thick, and some even had some briars in it, some scratch and things that. And I was standing by. Actually, this actually happened. I was standing by it, and this king snake. Now, king snake is a snake, a beautiful snake, king snake. North Carolina, look at king, Google it, king snake. He's black and white. He has 1 inch circles around his body, one white, one black, one white, one black, one white. King snake. He's beautiful. I tell you, he is beautiful, the king snake. He's all black and all white. Now, the coral snake, he's even more beautiful. He's smaller, and his skin is shiny like a diamond. And some of his burgundy colors are like ruby, the coral snake. But once you get bitten by one, you ain't gonna live to tell nobody you got bitten by a coral snake. You gonna die. You gonna die in a minute. That boy carries some poison on him. that coral snake, but king snake has no poison. Anyway, he has his 1 inch black and white king snake. So he crawled out from underneath that growth, right? Now, I actually saw this when I was in North Carolina as a boy. And then the Lord brought a vision to me where the king snake, this happened years later, was talking to me, telling me that I ought to commit suicide. I mean, and I was just going back 20, 25 years ago. The king snake told me to commit suicide, told me to cut my throat and commit suicide. Has the devil ever told you to do that? Has the devil ever told you to commit suicide? Has the devil ever told you to die? First of all, remember the teaching here today is that planet Earth is seated on, everybody on planet Earth is seated on death row. Everybody's on death row. Everybody's sitting on death row. No matter who you are, you're on death row, unless you are a member of the elect, right? But this king snake in a vision told me, stood up in my face and told me to commit suicide, and tried to make it intriguing that I would be better off dead than I would be alive. And that devil tells people that now. Yeah, the devil, and if you ever hear anything like that, it's the devil talking to you. But so at any rate, the beauty of this is that there are just a few people who are not going to taste death. Good God Almighty! Good God Almighty! Good God Almighty! Good God Almighty! That you're not on death row. Now, everybody else is on death row. You look at the president of the United States, well, he got it going on, right? He got his own plane and everything, got money, power, but he ain't got what you got. He's on death row. Look at the boys over there in Saudi Arabia and all that oil money, right? One of those guys over there had 137 Rolls Royce, right? Just buy one out. He just bought 137 Rolls Royce, nothing else to do with his money. Billionaires upon trillionaires. He gonna die, but not you. Not so. When you think about the calling of the elect and what a joy it is to be a member of the Outlaw World Missionary Church, where such messages are being preached. I mean, let's say the Outlaw Church is not the headquarters for the elect. But the very fact that that the message about the elect is being preached and you're being inspired to believe that you're a member of the elect sets us above the power of the White House. Because the White House people will die. The Kremlin people will die. But the message of the Outlaw Church is the elect shall not taste of death, that we're not on death row. It's extraordinary. I mean, so when you consider what the devil has done, and by the way, I've chopped up several snakes. This king snake, I refused him. I didn't commit suicide. I refused him. I didn't do it. But I've never sat, and I wonder if my experience will be, check this out. So I call myself a man of all seasons. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean, I've lived, I've been to prison, I picked cotton. I've been in the boardrooms. I said, I work for banks, right? I've had a number of experiences that's offered. I've never been the president, but I've met with him. In fact, unfortunately, I was talking to the now president of the United States. I met with him down there at his office down there on Trump Tower back in 2015. And it wasn't been for Captain LaFleur, I never would have shook his hand, told me to stand there and shake his hand while I took a picture. I didn't want to shake his hand, but I did. Got me all jammed up. But what I do have, I've had those experiences. I've had those experiences. But the one I've never had is I've never been seated on death row. Now, let's say for instance, you say, well, Pastor Manley, I'm running ahead of you, Pastor Manley. I hear you now, Pastor Manley, but I'm running ahead of you, right? Let's say Elder Paul, right? Elder Paul McFarquhar, he said, Pastor, I hear you now, but I'm running ahead of you. So what do you mean you're running ahead of me, Elder Paul? He said, well, Pastor, you've never sat on death row. As one of the things of a human experience, you've been in prison, you've been in Stark prison where they executed Ted Bundy. You were right near that prison. You've been to Sing Sing where they used to kill prisoners. You were in Sing Sing, folks. Pastor, man, you've been there in prison. I have been in a lot of them. I just stay. When you go through New York State system prison, let me just make something clear, right? This was no multiple times in recidivism into the prison. When you go through New York State prison, they may drop you off at Sing Sing. You might find yourself at Comstock, then you get classified at Dannemora, and then you find this, they send you to, that was it. It's just, but so Elder Paul will say, well, listen, Pastor, I'm getting ahead of you. I said, what do you mean you're getting ahead? Well, you've had just about the experience that every man on planet Earth has had, and a lot of experiences that you've had, most people will never have. That's true. But the one experience you have not had that most people do have is that you've never sat on death row. But not that you've never sat on death row in a prison. But you're not sitting on death row now, Elder Paul would say. You're not sitting on death row now because you're one of the elect. You're not sitting on death row like every other person on the planet. You're not seated on death row, right? In other words, it's death. See, in North Carolina, you're not saying anything. You see, Southern people talk real slow, but they don't say the whole word. Northern people talk real fast and say too much. But no, planet Earth. So I've never been on death row. So there's two meanings. One is that I've never sat on death row in terms of an actual prison, a state mandate for me to die, a federal mandate for me to die. I've never done that. But I also I'm not seated on death row as a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ. And that the prophecy of Matthew's Gospel, chapter 16, verse 28, is applied to me. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Here, I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to be back. I got a whole lot more to say about planet Earth, death row. No flesh shall be saved. I'm going to talk a little bit more also about the method of planetary execution called the tribulation. I'm James David Manning. I'll be right back. I'm James David Manning, everybody. I'm the Lord's servant.
Purple Grace presents Purple Grace Exquisite Tea Affair. Now, this affair will not get you into trouble. Taste, drink, and fall in love. Order from Purple's Affair collection today. Do it right now. Want to give a beautiful gift to yourself, a loved one, or a friend? This affair will be perfect. Remember, this affair will not get you into trouble. But this is for any and everyone who desires to partake in this most unique, unusual, delicious, and refreshing affair. Order yours today, right now. Go to purplegrace.com or Purple Grace Tea on Instagram to get all the intimate details. Want a taste of heaven while here on earth? Then order from Purple's Strawberry Love Collection. A hibiscus like no other. Even the angels can drink this. Imagine that. You know you love it. You know you love it.
They line up by the thousands, each one suffering, with a story that breaks your heart. Like 10-year-old Zachiel, the growing cyst on his neck threatens his life. He needs surgery now. And Revette, she needs help now, or she may never walk again. Their only hope is a ship unlike any other. Mercy Ships, the largest floating civilian hospital in the world, with volunteer medical staff and crew who come to save lives. 60 Minutes call Mercy Ships the intersection of courage and compassion. Their mission is both simple and remarkably challenging: to bring free surgeries and care for people who have no other hope. But they can't do this work without you. Please call or go online and join us now with your monthly gift of $19, just 62 cents a day, and you'll receive this limited edition Mercy Ships Crew t-shirt to show that you are a part of this amazing team.
Every human being has the right to be treated as human, to have a place at the table of the human race.
If you've ever wondered, how can I, just one person, make a difference? This is your answer. Call now or go to mercyships.org with your monthly gift of $19, just 62 cents a day. You too can be a hero. You can save lives. Mercy Ships saves thousands every year, but so many are still waiting and praying for surgery they could never get without your help. So don't wait. Please call or go to mercyships.org right now to give. Your gift of mercy can change a child's life forever.
You will come in contact with someone who is infected with the coronavirus. And you can be right there in your own home, on your own doorstep. You are going to come in contact with someone who has the coronavirus.
On Thursday, March 5th, Heather Bauer went to a casual dinner party in her town of Westport, Connecticut. 4 days later, she felt achy and feverish. She had a temperature of 101. 5 days after that, she was in the coronavirus ward at Yale Hospital, fearing that she would die.
I believe that as many as 20 to 40,000 people from Fort Greene to Harlem, New York City will die.
A well-known ER doctor here in New York who battled to save the lives of so many others. Her family now says she has taken her own life.
What we see happening is simply the hand of God in the dismantling of an unjust society. Just a side note before we get back to our teaching, Vestal Virgin Jatira Butler is heading up our Mercy Ship Volunteer Corps and volunteer in support of Mercy Ships. And there are several announcements will be coming forward from her, but I want to remind all of you, and especially those who contribute financially to our work here and also contribute to Mercy Ships, that we're going to select 12 people from 14 people, actually, I suppose, 7 young men and 7 young women who can do Mercy Ship Corps training and volunteer services. They don't always have to make that ultimate journey, and most of them will probably be in the high school and middle school corps. But we want to be able to get those Mercy Ship T-shirts when you make a contribution to Mercy Ships. So we're going to see if we can at least get 14 of those T-shirts for the students of our school to wear once a week or once a month, that they're in the Mercy Ship Volunteer Corps training program. And Vestal Virgin Jatira Butler will be orchestrating all this. I just want to get the news out today as quickly as we possibly can. Vestal Virgin Jatira Butler is a medical student herself, moving towards her degree in medicine, pediatric medicine, I think is her specialty. And she was raised up in this church and graduated from the Outlaw High School. And her parents are members of the congregation that have been so for more than 30 years. So we're very proud of her work. Jatira Butler, one of the great and first of the Vestal Virgins. So this Mercy Ship volunteer and development corps issue is going to be a really big and exciting thing for our school. All right, let's get back to planet Earth is on death row. Remember that? That's where we were a few moments ago before we got off into our time for me to take a little bit of a rest. So Elder Paul was able to discover, said, well, Pastor Manny, you're a man for all seasons. But there's one thing you lack. What's that? You have not ever sat on death row, and you now not sit on death row. So there's an experience in life that you've never had, an experience in life that you'll never have. It's an interesting way of observing things. But I think the more interesting beyond that, because you don't necessarily have to believe that, I'm using that as an example to help bring home the message that Jesus taught in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 16, verse 28, that some shall not taste of death. And then, of course, I'm going to get to the execution process in just a moment in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 24, which is the tribulation itself. I'm going to get to that also. But I think more really coming out of this lesson today of planet Earth is on death row is that no matter who you are, no matter how wealthy you are, who your family is, you could be the president of the United States, you could be a banker, you could be a barber, you could be living in another country under another name, but you still got to die. You're on death row no matter where you go. But Jesus had plucked out a small, smidging, infinitesimal, microscopic group of people he called the elect. that will not taste of death. It's fascinating. It is beyond fascinating. I mean, it just, when you consider everybody else gonna die, you gonna die, homie. You're gonna die. Every person on planet Earth is seated on death row. Everybody. That's right. You're gonna die. Except the elect. They will never know what that experience is like. And it isn't pleasant, by the way. I can tell you this. Jesus in Matthew's Gospel chapter 26 said that when it was time for him to get on the cross and die, that he didn't want to do it. The cup was so bitter. The cup of death was so bitter. Jesus said he didn't want to do it. But nevertheless, if the Father wanted it done, then he'll do it, but it wasn't something he looked forward to. But he said, there's some that shall not taste of death. They will never know that experience. Like, I don't know I know what it is to be in prison. I do. I know a lot of experiences. I'll tell you, I've never done heroin. I've never done it. So maybe that's another experience I haven't had. But I've been high. I've been on dope, drugs. I've taken cocaine, dropped acid, smoked reefer, all that. But heroin, that's not me. Not today. Not now. Not ever. I ain't going down that road. Reason why I didn't do heroin is because everybody that did heroin, the next thing you know, they're junkies. They ain't got no money. They're raggedy. Their breath stink. They're homeless. I said, no, not me. Or crack. I've never done that either. So, but drugs I've done. I've done that. But what I want to do now is that I want to read to you, as a writer, someone commented the other day to me that a lot of people don't know about the tribulation. I'm talking over their heads. So I'm going to read from Matthew's Gospel, chapter 24, about the tribulation, and let you see what Jesus says about it. And I wanted to say to some of y'all, you're out there, you're doing your thing, and you're in these Southern Baptist churches, and but you ain't going nowhere under that nonsense. Only the righteous shall see God. And I want to tell you what Jesus thinks about the temple in his day, what he thought about, what he said about it. He didn't bite his tongue, he didn't hide his hand. What he said about the temple in his day. So you can imagine what Almighty God thinks about the First Baptist Church of Dallas, or the First Baptist Church of Houston, or the Crystal Cathedral out in Los Angeles, or Temple Emmanuel here in New York City, or Brooklyn Tabernacle, what he thinks about those joints. If this is what he said about the temple, watch this. Matthew's Gospel, chapter 24, verse 1. And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and the disciples came to him to show him. And disciples came to him to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, see ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left one stone upon another. There shall not be thrown down. In other words, Jesus said, I'm going to tear down the temple. Forget about, I'm getting ready to tell you some other stuff too about everybody else going to die, but not on that. But the temple, I'm going to tear that down. I'm going to tear that down too. Can you imagine? The Temple Emmanuel, one of the biggest joints here on Fifth Avenue, about 20 blocks from that is St. Patrick's Cathedral. The Catholics down on one end, down at 52nd Street, and the Jewish temple on 65th Street. On Fifth Avenue. They're both on Fifth Avenue. I think the Temple Emmanuel has the most prestigious spot because it's right across from Central Park. But they're both on Fifth Avenue. High-priced real estate. High-priced real estate. Imagine Jesus standing in front of Temple Emmanuel, and it is a bad mamma jamma. That's a bad mamma jamma. Temple Emmanuel here in New York City. And Jesus stood there and said, gonna knock this bad boy down. They'd arrest him and hang him before he could count to 10. Same thing about St. Patrick's Cathedral. down on 5th and 52nd Street. It's another bad mamma jamma across the street from Rockefeller Center. All that high-priced real estate. Jesus, you know this stuff gonna be. Jesus, I'm gonna tear it all down. And by the way, He's gonna tear down St. Patrick's. He's gonna tear down Rockefeller Center, and they're gonna tear down Temple Emmanuel. All that's gonna go. You know, if you tore down the temple in Jerusalem, the rest of this stuff got to go, including the First Baptist in Dallas. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to the prophet and said, "Tell us, so when shall these things be?" When is the execution date? Is what he's asking. "And what shall be the sign of thy coming, the end of the world?" And Jesus answered and said to them, "Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, like Joel Osteen saying that Jesus is Lord, but they got a trick bag. They got a trick bag for you, and they're going to deceive you. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is still not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences, earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginnings of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you." And by the way, you know, I was saying earlier that the devil knows the elect, and he will try to put a whooping on us. He will try to put a whooping on us. I mean, he will try to put a whooping on us because he knows that we got something that is more powerful than what he has. "Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake." I was trying to tell people some time ago, one of the experiences I've had is that everybody in Africa at one point hated me. Everybody in Africa who knew about Obama and knew about me. The term long-legged Mac Daddy Obama, and because Obama is from Africa, from Kenya, and because he's alleged to be the first black president, he's well known, and everybody in Africa knew him. Obama was better known than Nelson Mandela. But also the nemesis of Obama was James David Manning in New York City, had the loudest, most courageous voice on the planet, talking about Obama's a long-legged magnet, and everybody in Africa hated me. I was hated by all nations. That's another experience that most people never had. The average person on the planet Earth, outside of their own immediate family, or a place where they went to school, and if they've been out of school more than 15, 20 years, there's less than 40 people on the entire planet that know that individual. Most people are not known. Nobody doesn't know who you are. Nobody knows you. Outside of your family, nobody knows you. Nobody knows you. If you can find 40 people that knows the average person, you found a lot, because most people are not known. Me, I was hated by everybody in Africa. I was hated by everybody in Africa. Everybody in Harlem, Bed-Stuy, New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, all at one time. Jesus said, and they shall deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and they shall deceive many with their religious ideologies. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. Now, you got to watch that verse on the Jehovah's Witnesses. They love to use that verse. "And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations." Well, one of the things about my being hated by everybody in Africa and Caribbean and all of America, that everybody knows me, is that it also gives me an opportunity to preach. You see what I'm saying? So you can call it a negative. You can call it that they meant it for evil, but God meant it for good. Verse 15, "When you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place." You know, Elder Joseph Smith, the article you sent me about those Catholic boys down there, what that church down there, Catholic, where they were having a threesome on the altar, having sexual intercourse on a threesome too, by the way. I didn't read it. I just didn't want to, but when I read the article and indulged in the first couple of sentences of it, I said, that really is an abomination of desolation. I think one of the things that a lot of people said will be the abomination of desolation is that if somebody was to throw pig's blood on the temple, on the altar, if someone was to throw pig's blood on the pulpit of the First Baptist Church, if someone was to throw pig's blood on a truly Christian church on the altar, someone would come with a bucket of pig's blood, that would be an abomination of desolation. Now, what I think abomination of desolation is, Elder Smith, that was an ugly article. And I think the Archbishop said that altar should be burned. That's what I heard him say. But Elder Smith, can I say, what's the difference of a threesome on the altar than a pastor, a preacher, standing at the altar, marrying two men, and the two men at the altar have a sexual tongue-to-tongue kiss at the altar, and the preacher holds their hand? That's a threesome too? No, that's a threesome too. That's a threesome also. I'm a stickler for language. That's a threesome also. If a pastor, a preacher stands at the altar and holds the hand while a man tongue kisses another man in the marriage ceremony, that's a threesome and it's an abomination. They're doing it all over America. They're doing it all over America, I tell you. It's a threesome. Or I've seen a woman preacher, right? Hold the hand of two other women and they tongue kiss. They do a deep dive tongue kiss at the altar. That's a threesome, Elder Smith. So, anyway. Verse 16, then let them which be in Judea flee unto the mountains, and let him which is on the housetop come not down to take anything out of the house, neither let him which is in the field return back to get his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child and them that give suck in those days, but pray that your flight be not in winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, because all of planet Earth is on death row. And except those days be shortened, no flesh will be saved, because all of planet Earth is on death row. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. And for those of you who don't know about the tribulation, that's it. That is the tribulation that is spoken of by Jesus. And it's really the execution method. That's how God carries out the global execution. You know, Hitler, in all my due respect for the Jewish people and love of them as a brother, Hitler wanted to kill them all, but just killing them one by one. So he put them all in a boxcar and sent them in and created this great big old warehouse called gas oven. They just put them all in there and killed them all, thousands at a time. How you going to kill them? Saddam Hussein had a firing squad of just knocking people over and putting them in a hole, having a backhoe dig a big hole and throw them all in there. Same thing with the Armenian killings back in 1915 and in other mass killings like the Hutus and the Tutsis. Just pure barbarian over there in Africa, in Rwanda, right? I mean, how do you kill off everybody on planet Earth? How do you do it? You start having earthquakes, famines, pestilences, and all kinds of things like that. That generally does the job. That gets it done. So, today we've looked carefully at some experiences I've not had. I've not had the one experience in life that I've not had, and I discount the fact that I've done heroin, but I've done drugs. But I've never sat on death row. My friends, I pray that I never will. And I'm not the only one that will never sit on death row. And the fascinating thing about this is that of the 7 billion people that are on planet Earth now, most of that 7 billion, if not nearly all of that 7 billion, right now is on death row. And they are going to die. There's just getting away from it. There's no getting away from it. No matter president, you can be living in another country under another name. You could be a king or a queen. Or you could be a pauper. You could be a barber. Or you could be a rich man sleeping in the king-size bed. Or you could be sleeping in a homeless shelter. You're going to die. No, you're going to die. No, you're going to die. But there's a small group of people called the elect. And that message is coming out of the Outlaw World Missionary Church in Outlaw, New York, formerly known as Harlem. But that message of the elect is coming out of the Outlaw World Missionary Church, and I'm one of the elders. I'm James David Manning. I'm the teacher of that. And I'm one of those that are members of that is a member of the elect. Praise Almighty God. I have more to say about this. I'm not finished. I want to try to help people understand that all this religion that y'all are doing ain't going to save you. It ain't going to save you. You got to be either you're righteous or you're lost. Ask Noah. When I get back, and that'll be another time because I have to get to, Diara is going to give us a little bit of a break here, and then we're going from Diara, we're going to go to Bob Jackson, and Bob Jackson going to take us up to, we got a couple of things going to happen. I got to step right out of the way because I got to get ready for the Manning Report coming up next. But I will get back to the fact where religion is not going to save you. I don't care if you're Catholic, Methodist, Presbyterian, Church of God in Christ, Baptist, Quaker, Episcopalian, Anglican, Pentecostal. That ain't gonna get it. It ain't gonna get it. It ain't going to get it. And I can show you why. And I'm gonna let Jesus tell you. Because you won't believe me. You're gonna think I got something. You think I got something to prove. But I'll let Jesus tell you. Being either one of those ain't gonna get it. All right, everybody. Until we meet again, planet Earth is on death row. I'm James David Manning, everybody. I'm the Lord's servant.
I know you think that I shouldn't still love you or tell you that. Well, if I didn't say it, well, I still have felt it. And where's the sense in that? I promise I'm not trying to make your life harder or return to where we were. But I will go down with this ship, and I will put my hands up and surrender. There will be no white flag above my door. I'm in love and always will be. I know I left too much mess and destruction to come back again. And I cause nothing but trouble. I understand if you won't talk to me again. And if you live by the rules of it's over, then I'm sure that that makes sense. But I will go down with this ship, and I will put my hands up and surrender. There will be no white flag above my door, 'cause I'm in love and always. And when we meet, which I'm sure we will, all that was there will be there still. And I'll let it pass and hold my tongue, and you will think that I moved on. And I won't put my hands up and surrender. There will be no white flag above my door, 'cause I'm in love and always will. I will go down with this ship, and I won't put my hands up and surrender. There will be no white flag above my door, 'cause I'm in love and always will be. And we will go down with this ship, and we won't put our hands up and surrender. There will be no white flag above our doors, 'cause we're in love and always will be.
Hallelujah.
God says, I'm growing weary of all your feast and sacrifice. When you assemble before me, but you ain't been living right. I've seen you shout, I've heard you sing, but all that noise don't mean a thing till you break the bonds and loose the chains. I tell you that's my kind of praise. Help someone else before you pray. I want to bless if you'll obey. I see your heart, now mend your ways. I tell you that's my kind of praise. That old good music is mighty sweet. I like to hear it, but it ain't complete till you find a sheep that's gone astray and feed the poor along the way. Start cleaning up the mess you made. I tell you that's my kind of praise. The hymns you sing, sweet in my ear, but still my favorite thing to hear is the sound of feet out visiting. I tell you that's my kind of praise. That light will break through, I'll make a way. When you're in trouble, just call my name. I'll be your rock, I'll guard your way. You'll be
Purple Grace presents Purple Grace Exquisite Tea Affair. Now, this affair will not get you into trouble. Taste, drink, and fall in love. Order from Purple's Affair collection today. Do it right now. Want to give a beautiful gift to yourself, a loved one, or a friend? This affair will be perfect. Remember, this affair will not get you into trouble. But this is for any and everyone who desires to partake in this most unique, unusual, delicious, and refreshing affair. Order yours today, right now. Go to purplegrace.com or Purple Grace Tea on Instagram to get all the intimate details. Want a taste of heaven while here on earth? Then order from Purple's Strawberry Love Collection. A hibiscus like no other. Even the angels can drink this. Imagine that. You know you love it. You know you love it.
Welcome, everybody, to the Manning Report. I am Manning, the quintessential American, broadcasting from my studio located in our church building, and our church building is located in the community formerly known as Harlem in New York City. But Almighty God has changed the name of this community to Otla. How's everybody doing today? We got 12 days and a wake up. and it will be on. November 3rd is just around the bend. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming around the mountain. She'll be coming around the mountain. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes November 3rd. She'll be riding 6 white horses when she comes. She'll be riding 6 white horses when she comes. She'll be riding 6 white horses. She'll be riding 6 white horses. She'll be riding 6 white horses when she comes November 3rd. All right, let's get started today. I'm going to let you listen to a clip, and I pray that the engineers have blotted out all the people that promoted this on their network. I don't want their networks to be seen on our network, the Manning Network. Anyway, that Ice Cube, the rapper, remember him? He's a pretty popular guy. Made a lot of money, been in a lot of movies, Ice Cube. And he was on one of the national, international networks recently. Because Ice Cube had made some sort of a statement regarding the fact that he was working with the Trump campaign. And he got a little bit of backlash. You know, the people started jumping up and down. LeBron James and all them other people started jumping up and down and having a hissy fit against Ice Cube. So he tried to walk it back a little bit. But actually, really what Ice Cube said and meant is that he's working with Trump because it is absolutely good. And I want you to listen to me. Please hear this. Please hear this. It's uber important. What Ice Cube was saying was, listen, we've had Obama, and the police still killing us in the street. We had Obama, and we still po like Job's turkey. We don't have capital. We don't have influence. We're the lowest on the totem pole. After the so-called first black president, all this is still going on. So Ice Cube is saying we need to step away. Ice Cube is saying Hamites, black people, need to step away from Biden and Kamala and Camelback ain't Black Harris. Ice Cube is saying really what I say he's saying with discretion. I put it on blast. Ice Cube is saying, y'all had Obama. You had your first black president. Yet you're still being shot down in the streets. You're the poorest of all people. You ain't got no money, per capita income compared to everybody else. You're wretched. You're crazy. Why are you going to vote for Biden and Camelback ain't Black Harris? That's what Ice Cube said. Now, he walked it back a little bit because he was catching heat. But I'm going to let you listen to it, and I'm going to leave my mic open so I can make some indentations here. But he's right. Black people are poorer now, more homeless, less capitalization since Obama 12 years ago than they were before. Roll, Ice Cube.
Our next guest is Ice Cube. If you know anything about him, and you probably do, you know he started his career rapping in defiance about police presence and the realities of inner city life. And he got political with his songs as well recently during the Trump administration, most recently in 2018. Here's a taste.
Arrest the president. You got the evidence. That is Russian intelligence.
Now we see a shift. Now he wants to work with President Trump. Here's what the president had to say most recently about Black Lives Matter.
The first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter, I said, that's such a terrible term because it's such a racist term. It's a term that sows division between blacks and whites and everybody else, and it's a very bad term for blacks. But they were very angry. It's a Marxist organization.
With all that going on, and how the president continues to speak about there being no systemic inequality, it's no shock that Ice Cube got some heat for deciding to work with the Trump administration. He wants to deal with it. I want to understand it. So should you. So here is Ice Cube on Prime Time. Thank you for taking the opportunity, brother. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Chris, your lead-ins are a little misleading.
How so?
Well, the Platinum Plan is not my plan. I came up with the Contract with Black America, and I didn't run to go work with any campaign. Both campaigns contacted me. both campaigns wanted to talk to me about the contract with Black America. One campaign said, we love what you have, but let's really dig into it after the election. And one campaign said, we love what you have. Do you mind talking to us about it? And that's what I did. So I didn't run to nobody. And so that was real misleading to me.
Now, I want to pause right there, Mr. Engineer. All right, so we know the campaign who said that we'll dig into it after the election, that was the Biden campaign, right? That was, they said, well, okay, here what you're saying, let's deal with it. Let's get me elected first, and then we'll talk about that. The fact that, here's what you need to understand. The fact that Ice Cube is willing to sit down and reached out to the Trump campaign. Now, he's walking it back a little bit because he called big time heat from all the athletes and all the actors and everybody and all the rappers as well. He called big time heat. But initially, he launched to work with Trump. And the reason being is because he's a realist. Y'all had Obama, he's thinking. I mean, he said, we had a black president, but look at what the hell look at what's happening to black people now. Obama didn't help you. So maybe we need to talk to Trump. That's all he said. But when he did that, he called holy hell. Because you know how you black people are. You know how he get the black man. He get the black man. Go ahead, Mr. Engineer.
Anybody. I said that you had taken a pivot.
Well, you said I ran over to the Trump team instead of the Biden team. That's just not true.
Well, but you are working with the Trump team instead of the Biden team, and people are giving you heat for it. What do you say to them?
Well, I'm willing to work with both teams, but I'm just working with whoever is willing to work with me. So the Trump campaign came to me and asked me to explain to them some of the contract with Black America. That's what I did. I'm not playing no more of these games, these political games. We're not part of a team. We have very broad problems, especially the wealth gap in this country when it comes to Black Americans. So I'm going to whoever's in power, and I'm going to speak to them about our problems specifically. I'm not going there talking about minorities. I'm not going there talking about people of color or diversity or none of that stuff. I'm going there for Black Americans, the ones who are the descendants of slaves. And that's what I'm going to talk to anybody who's in power with that. So if anybody got a problem with that, it seems like a personal problem.
Well, here's the problem, and it is very personal, as you know, for a lot of people of color, because they'll say, well, why would you pick Trump when he says there's no such thing as systemic inequality? Say again?
I'm not picking nobody. He's the president.
But why do you think he'd want to do something for the community when he says there's no such thing as systemic inequality?
I don't know what he want to do. I just know what the man said. I know what he said to the country. I've never met Donald Trump. So I don't know what he's going to do. I just know what he said he was going to do. So both of them have a plan. Both of them say they're going to do something. And who knows what's really going to happen.
Just to interject here so we can keep it straight. You know, Ice Cube is a rapper, a prominent one of the biggest that came out of the 90s. He's on top of the world. Rappers generally are dyed in the wool, if you will, segregation in as much as that they believe in black pride, that black people have been done wrong. And for Ice Cube, and what he is saying is that, okay, so we all jumped out there behind the so-called first black president, Obama. He ain't done a damn thing for us. We still don't have money. We're worse now than we were before. So I'm going to talk to Trump. I'm started talking to all these black people, talking that old IO talk, that old black talk, talking that old slave. I'm tired of talking that talk. Really what? Now, he got a lot of pushback. But in his heart of hearts, he believes that he got a better shot with Trump than he does with Biden and Camelback Harris. And I understand that. I understand it. All this black talk, black Obama, I mean, it is a scandalous. Anyway, It's Ice Cube. It ain't. When I come down Main Street. I put it on blast. Now Ice is backing up a little bit, but I've never backed down. He's backing down a little bit, but he's at least saying he's working with Trump, or at least planning to work with Trump. Go ahead, Mr. Engineer.
After November 3rd, nobody knows from each side. We're all hoping that candidates keep their campaign promises. So that's just it.
So let's look at it this way. I think that you're right to be skeptical. Let's start with the Democrats, because even though there is a traditional connection between black voters and the Democrats, you could also say you've been let down or forgotten by Democrats in a lot of situations that would have mattered. Then you say, all right, so then what makes one side better than the other? That's where you get in trouble, which is, do you really think that Donald Trump can be trusted as much as you could trust Joe Biden?
Great question.
I don't think I'm not trusting any of them. I'm just going by action. That's all I'm going by. I'm not going by words. I'm not going by rhetoric. Not going by media spin. Not going by none of that. I'm not on nobody's team. I'm not on Team Blue. Not on Team Red.
So then I have that wrong.
Hold on. I'm an independent person, and I believe that's what black people need to do, is become independent, and we need to get something for our vote. That may not happen, but it's going to happen.
It's got to happen. It's got to happen. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Look, if I had brought you here to fight with you, you would have known it. What I'm saying is, I think I did get it wrong, and I want to make sure I get it right. So saying you're working with the Trump team is wrong. What you did was, when they asked to talk to you about it, you said yes. If Biden had asked to talk to you about it now, you would have gone to them the same way. It's not about you choosing anything. It's you working with everybody who's got a chance of doing anything.
I'm working with whoever's in power. Yeah, I'll work with both. Whoever's in power, I'm going to work with. So whoever wins, they'll hear from me.
Okay, so I'm glad you came to clear it up. So Ice Cube is not with the Trump campaign. He's just given his ideas, and anybody who wants to do something with him, fine. Do you believe they are doing anything with your ideas?
I believe, they looked at the contract with Black America and they updated their plan. But it's their plan. I have my plan. My plan is broad. It goes beyond the public sector. It goes into the private sector.
I just pause here, and we're gonna listen to a little bit more Ice Cube. I think it's important what he has to say, and I think Hamite America needs to listen to him. He has a point that I've long since expressed. I once endorsed Trump, as you very well know. Now, I got off the Trump train quickly, and there's no way under any circumstance will I ever get back on the Trump train for reasons, of course, related to my own spirituality, my own sense of integrity, and my own sense of what's right and what's wrong. However, politics is all very ugly and then oftentimes very deceitful. But I have to tell you, I would never endorse Trump. I wouldn't vote for him. I wouldn't even talk to him again. If he sent a private jet to fly me down to Washington, I'd refuse. I would. I swear before God, I would. I wouldn't. If he sent $10 billion to me, say it's mine, if I'll just endorse him, I'd turn it down. I do declare before Almighty God, Jesus, who I love so much, I turn it down. I don't need his money. I turn it down. But I'll tell you this. Ice Cube has got a point. Black people voting black, and the epitome of that was that low-life Obama, that liar, that half-breed, that he wasn't even black, who never done nothing for, and you're going to hear Ice Cube say it, he did nothing. I can tell you this, if Biden and Camelback ain't black, Harris wins, they're coming after me. Trump probably would not bother me. But the LGBTQ, Black Lives Matter, Biden and Camelback ain't black hair, they're going to come after me with everything they got. Now, I got something for him if he wins. But I would have more peace if Trump won. That's just how that is. I'm not endorsing him. And there ain't no way I'd go anywhere near him. I wouldn't. You heard what I said. But it is ridiculous the way these crazy Hamite black people talk about Obama. And the way he is raped, ripped, and pimped. More homeless black people, ain't got no money. Police still shooting you. Biden, Camelback ain't Black Harris. Mr. Engineer.
Banks, even the movie industry. So we got to deal with a lot of different, companies, corporations, and even government when it comes to solving this problem. I believe it's a bipartisan problem. I believe it's a bipartisan problem when it comes to the issues, when it comes to blacks in America and what's going on. It's not a Democrat problem. It's not for them to solve. It's not for the Republicans to solve. It's for both of them to solve. They do it when it comes to debt ceiling. They do it when it comes to getting us in wars. They seem to come together when it's something that really affects America. And I don't think nothing affects America more than the situation that black Americans find ourselves in. This country is coming apart at the seams, and it's not going to come together after January 3rd, no matter who's the president, unless we deal with this wealth gap.
You have the economics. All of it extends from poverty, which is an extension of opportunity, which is an extension of a system that doesn't give equal opportunity, and you see it everywhere. Hiring, education, finance, all of it. So acutely,
I would interrupt here. I think Chris is going on a little here about and of course Ice Cube is a millionaire, but he understands the wealth problem. That he said he submitted his plan, Contract with America, to the Trump campaign. I would have a plan. My plan would be, of course, outlaw 50,000 righteous men. If I was going to submit it to anybody, that's what I would submit. The problem is that, and he says it's not a Democrat or Republican party, it's an American problem. It needs to be well worked on. But I would say partially in agreement with that, but I would say a closer look, however, when you talk about the wealth gap among Hamites, it's a personal problem. It's a racial, cultural problem. There is a misunderstanding and a misinterpretation of the whole process of humanity in the mind of the black man or the black. He really does not compute. He doesn't logically look at the process of what it takes to build a strong society. He's never done it. And Harlem is the best example of that. If he just realized 1/10 of how wealthy he was when there was nobody up here but him, and what he could have done with this community, how it sits between 3 airports, you can get on the bus. Ain't nowhere on planet Earth you can get on the bus and be at a major airport in 15 minutes and the bus will drop you off there. The broad sidewalks, the beautiful Art Deco buildings, the structure of the community, its prominence to Central Park and Broadway, Fifth Avenue, and Wall Street. He didn't realize he had it, and you couldn't tell him that he had it. In fact, his preachers wouldn't live here. His preachers moved to the white neighborhoods. And then you try to talk to him, he gets angry, he wants to cut you, and he'll kill you. And he kills each other because he really has a cognitive problem. The opportunity for extraordinary wealth has always been available. Even during slavery, extraordinary wealth was available to slaves and black people. But he has a cognitive problem. He's angry. He doesn't listen. He doesn't understand. He's like a kindergarten. They're trying to attend Harvard when it comes to competing with Japan or China or with the Germans or what. He's like a kindergarten at Harvard because of his cognitive problem. And that has to be dealt with. I understand what Ice Cube is saying about the wealth gap. But, I mean, even the Hispanic people do better. And they've maintained East Harlem, El Barrio. They didn't let Japheth run over there and take their communities and run their businesses. Now they let Costco get on there, 116th Street, but as best they can. They have maintained their community, their culture. They still got their cultural stores where they sell their plantains and their guava and their cultural materials on 3rd Avenue. They still have their culture. The Hispanic, and they have a larger voting bloc. They make more money. You can't begin to know how frustrating it is. And then you go to these black churches, these TD Jakes, these Black Baptists, and you look at them and you wonder what the hell is going on. And you stand up in the middle of the crowd and say, "What are y'all doing?" And they want to hang you. And they then walk by a church like that and spit and say, "I'm a hate preacher." And they have the evidence. Ice Cube is saying, wait a minute. It ain't about getting a black president to uplift black people. That has been finally put to rest. Maybe we need to talk to Trump. Mr. Engineer, go ahead.
Looking at what happens when policing goes wrong in communities. It doesn't give you concern that the president has handled police violence the way he has in terms of his commitment to work on any of the issues that you think are important?
We've been dealing with police violence in this country from day one. So police violence is just part of our life here. So, the thing is this, once we get some capital, we'll be treated better. This is a capitalistic society.
True.
And if you ain't got no money, you see how people get treated on the streets when they ain't got no money.
Not just money, wealth. Wealth. You got to be able to build up wealth within the community.
Yeah, to put it in
You're right about
terms,
that,
but
you got to do it. Home
bottom
ownership,
line
business
is,
ownership, strong family relationship. You got to do it.
And so everybody in
wealth,
America knows
money.
that. When you got a little more
LeBron
money, they
James
treat
has
you a
got
little
money,
better.
but
So
they ain't helping
we
build
need
no
to
community.
close this wealth gap. You got people, families making $120,000 or worth $120,000, and you got black families worth $200. It's just an enormous wealth gap that keeps growing. It's not getting smaller. Do the research, and you'll see this is the problem in America. It's because black people have no capital. We own half of a point when it comes to all the wealth in America. Half of a point. 13.5% people living off half of a point. We cannot survive in America another 100 years living like this.
The issue is real. The problem is properly identified. They do have access to capital of about $500 billion, but it doesn't say that it would be earmarked within the Trump plan for communities of color. But we'll see what you can get done. And I make you this promise, not just because I'm a fan, but the issue matters. As you learn and as you see action and reaction or inaction, you have a place on this show to discuss it. That's a guarantee.
That's it. I think that it's important that we recognize, and I'm glad to see Ice Cube come out as this well, but he is going to be trampled. In fact, his professional career may be over because you're going to people like LeBron James and all the actors and all the major people and people with Obama type power. They're going to run him over. They're going to ostracize him. They're going to lock him out. And they're going to turn all young Hamite black children against him. He'll never get another movie deal. It ain't going to happen. That's what they do to you. That's what they do. But having said that, and maybe there are one or two people who understands that, the utopian idea of having a black president, somehow or another that was going to change something for Hamite people until Hamite people realize that they are their own problems. The wealth gap, they had Harlem. And just look for just a second. The Japheth man looked up here and say, hey, I'm going to sink $2 or $3 million into one of them brownstones up there because that's a beautiful community. I can become wealthy by moving to Harlem. While the black man that was already here couldn't see it, you couldn't talk to him, couldn't get him to come to church, couldn't talk to him. He always talking about the white man this, the black, and Pastor Man's against the black man, always beating up on the black man, Pastor Man to hate the black man. That maybe one or two people say, wait a minute, Ice Cube, he ain't Pastor Manning, but he's saying maybe Trump's got a better plan. And so maybe Pastor Manning is not so wrong. Maybe we need to really take a look and listen to Pastor Manning's plan. Ice Cube's got a contract with America, but Pastor Manning's got a vision called Atla. Talk about wealth. Talk about building wealth. Every man a homeowner. We're talking about men owning $3 and $4 million homes. Every man a business owner. We're talking about men trapping the billions of dollars that flow through this community every year, just staying right in the black community by owning all the stores, running all the businesses, having a sense of efficiency, having a sense of understanding of development of the kind of culture and character that it takes to be able to demand businesses come. Setting up hotels and businesses and insurance companies all run by the kind of efficacy that Dr. Manning talks about all the time. That's building capital and wealth. Maybe we need to listen to him. Most are not going to. They're going to go vote for Biden, thinking that somehow or another that he's going to help them. It just gets more ridiculous. He's got a cognitive problem. He doesn't have an American problem. He doesn't have a wealth problem. He's got a cognitive problem of recognizing the truth. And the worst place to go to try to get educated is outside the black church. You go there. You go there. You're going to come out skinny and poor and diseased. You might go in a man. But the preacher going to tell you to put on a pair of red panties with a heart on it for Valentine's Day and say you're a woman. It's a damn shame. At any rate, everybody, I thought Ice Cube was good for us today. I'm glad he's done what he's done and said what he said. I'm James David Manning, everybody. I'm the Lord's servant.
They line up by the thousands, each one suffering, with a story that breaks your heart. Like 10-year-old Zach Aiel, the growing cyst on his neck threatens his life. He needs surgery now. And Revette, she needs help now, or she may never walk again. Their only hope is a ship unlike any other. Mercy Ships, the largest floating civilian hospital in the world, with volunteer medical staff and crew who come to save lives. 60 Minutes call Mercy Ships the intersection of courage and compassion. Their mission is both simple and remarkably challenging: to bring free surgeries and care for people who have no other hope. But they can't do this work without you. Please call or go online and join us now with your monthly gift of $19, just 62 cents a day, and you'll receive this limited edition Mercy Ships Crew t-shirt to show that you are a part of this amazing team.
Every human being has the right to be treated as human, to have a place at the table of the human race.
If you've ever wondered, how can I, just one person, make a difference? This is your answer. Call now or go to mercyships.org with your monthly gift of $19, just 62 cents a day. You too can be a hero. You can save lives. Mercy Ships saves thousands every year, but so many are still waiting and praying for surgery they could never get without your help. So don't wait. Please call or go to mercyships.org right now to give. Your gift of mercy can change a child's life forever.
I take a biblical point of view. Do you mind if I share this with you? And I promise not to inflict myself upon you any further regarding the fact that America should provide equal health care, the best of health care, free of charge for everybody. For everybody. Rich, poor, indifferent, for everybody. Even people I don't like, and there's a lot of them. And let me tell you why. It's a biblical foundation. Can I tell you? Will you listen? Thank you for saying you will. You know, Jesus said to his disciples, go out into the hinterlands to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as you go, heal the sick. But he said, before you go, take no script for your journey, neither 2 staves, nor 2 shoes, nor coats. But as you go, as you find them that are sick, heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead. Freely you have received, freely you ought to give. Now, God has, this same Jesus has blessed America. America's the wealthiest, filthy, rich nation on the planet. And yet it wants to charge its members for health care. It's unconstitutional. It's wrong. It's unbiblical for anybody to have to pay to see a doctor. It's unbiblical. Now, I know what the conservatives believe and all. I know what the Wall Street people believe and all the insurance companies and everybody get big money. Let me say one other thing to you, and I promise again, really not to inflict myself upon you any further. That is to say, you say, well, America can't afford that. That would cost $1 trillion budget every year. So listen, let me say something to you. And doctors will be well paid. Nobody's trying to, keep them from earning a good living. But let's say you used to buy medicine for insulin. You're diabetic, right? And you want to buy medicine for your diabetes, insulin mainly, right? Did you know you can go across the border in Canada and get a tab of insulin for nearly 1/10 of what that same insulin will cost you in America? Why is insulin in America 10 times higher than it is in Canada? Greed, big pharma, thieves, lowlifes, politicians, Supreme Court justices. That makes it so. And when Obama passed the Affordable Care Act, which is itself an oxymoron, it was just to make more money for the insurance company. I'm against it. I'm against Obamacare. I think it ought to be struck down. Now, I'm not against you people who are sick, you have pre-existing conditions, and you need help. I'm for you. I'm praying for you. You can get my prayers. It won't cost you a dime. But Jesus said, America, heal the sick. Freely have you received, freely you should give. I'm James David Manning, everybody. I'm the Lord's servant. Now that the coronavirus, a lot of people are afraid to send their children to schools, especially the public school system, and I tell you, I don't blame you. It is very risky in the public school system, and so a number of parents have taken to homeschooling. And if you're out of state or even out of the region of New York City, the 5 boroughs of New York or the northern part of New Jersey, and you want to homeschool your children, let us be an homeschool assistant. We have a bona fide jam up and jelly tight education system here, the Outlaw School System, from kindergarten all the way up through high school, and we do a great job. We produce lawyers, doctors, architects, artists. I mean, God has literally laughed on us as an education institution and has just given great blessings. Some of the best institutions in America, our students are accepted at. And we recently had one of our students graduate cum laude. That's the first. That is a first, and we need to make note of that. While we have students that have been accepted at Yale, at Juilliard, at New York University, and a number of other very prestigious schools, our first cum laude has happened in our institution, and that's a first that we need to make sure that the education system, the Outlaw School System acknowledges that. But what I want to say to you, if you're planning on homeschooling your children, register with our online homeschool assistance program. We have an online homeschool assistance program where you can register. You're living in Houston, you're homeschooling your children, but we can come alongside you every day, and we'll assign a special teacher to work with you and your children so that they will not be completely isolated. And you know that even though you're the parent, you're not fully qualified to teach them in every subject matter that they need to be taught in. It will be a wise thing for you to call our ministry at number 877-777-0734. Ask to speak to Elizabeth Manning. The number is 877-777-0734, and ask to speak to Elizabeth Manning. The number is 877-777-0734, and ask to speak to Elizabeth Manning. And go ahead and let us work alongside of you, because you, as loving as you are as a parent, you just aren't qualified to do all that is necessary. We can be of great assistance to you on your schooling program for your children. All right, I want to read this riddle once again, then I want to get into Sean Hannity and some Fox News coverage, okay? So hang tight for that. But I want to preface that Sean Hannity event by reading this riddle. Now, it's not really a riddle, it's a vision. But I'm asking, this is my third day of reading it, people to tell me what it means. Nobody's commented on it yet, I'm surprised, but I find it very powerful. Anyway, it goes like this. I saw a huge building that was mainly brown in color with old stonework like those old monasteries from Catholic churches in Europe. The building had a huge steep roof. I heard, in quotations, and saw, in quotation from a distance, a huge crowd of people inside the building having a rally or something. When the rally was done, all the people rushed up, though inside the stairwells, to the roof and gathered at the pinnacle of the roof. They were all dressed in what looked like black or brown pants and black or brown sweaters, like a bunch of preppy high school or college-age Catholics. They were all white, Japheth people, in other words. Then they all shouted and ran down the steep slope of the building. I thought they would just take a small jump onto the grass and keep running towards a battle or something like a battle cry. But the sides of the building were like 20 to 30 feet off the ground. They started falling off the edge, and some hit head first and went limp, like they broke their necks. Others plowed into the ground like meteorites, pushing up dirt and getting buried in the dirt as broken balls, mounds of flesh. But the others kept up the mad rush, and most kept falling and dying. And then that kind of ends all of what was the vision that was able to see. Now, I ask people to, anybody have any idea what that means? And I've asked people to make some comments. I haven't posted it as I said I would on our site, but what do you think? At any rate, listen, I want to go to Sean Hannity. I haven't had him on recently. I'm going to bring Sean Hannity up today. And what I want to point up is Sean Hannity's got this poster on. Nobody's ever heard of him. He's certainly not certified among other posters, but at least it is stated that this poster was able to get the last 2016 election correct. He accurately predicted that Tribulation Trump would win the election, and so he's back again today with Sean Hannity. So let's listen to what Sean Hannity has to say. And Mr. Engineer, leave my mic open because I want to make some comments as they go along.
A Biden ad is running in Michigan actually featured a purported bar owner struggling in Ann Arbor to keep his business afloat during the pandemic. Well, as it turns out, that struggling bar owner was actually a wealthy millionaire tech investor who supported Governor Whitmer's insane stay-at-home order that, in fact, contributed to Michigan's restaurant and bar industry being destroyed. So what does it mean for the polls in Michigan? Joining us now is one of the only pollsters in the country that accurately predicted the 2016 election, that Donald Trump would win Michigan, that he would win Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. He is the chief pollster for the Trafalgar Group. His name is Robert Cahaly is with us. Robert, good to see you. All right, I'm looking at your polls. You predicted it would be as close as it was in 2016. You predicted it accurately. I've got you right now, Wisconsin, 1 point lead for Biden. Michigan, 1 point lead for Trump. Florida, Trump up by 2. Pennsylvania, Biden up by 1. Arizona, Trump up by 4. Ohio, Trump up by 4. We've got North Carolina, the president up by 1.5. Minnesota is a dead heat. It's dead even. And the president winning Georgia, which other pollsters do not have. What are you seeing that other pollsters are not seeing?
Thank you, Sean. What we've noticed is that these polls are predominantly missing the hidden Trump vote, what referred to as the shy Trump voter. There is a clear feeling among conservatives and people that are for the president that they're not interested in sharing their opinions so readily on the telephone. We've seen people be beat up, harassed, doxxed, have their houses torn up because they express political opinions that are not in line with the politically correct establishment. And so these people are a lot less hesitant, are more hesitant to not participate in polls. So if you're not compensating for this, if you're not trying to give them a poll that they can participate in with a lower threshold that would make them feel more comfortable that it's anonymous, you're not going to get honest answers.
All right, let me say, just stop for this right there. The Trafalgar Group is the name of the pollster, the company that they work for. And many moons ago, in my first year in college, I took a course in economics. I don't know why. And the first thing I learned about economics is that it was told that I suppose strategic data can be manipulated, that statistics can be manipulated to say, you can make a statistic say what you want it to say. And I never forgot that lesson. And even though I was a young boy at the time, less than 20 years old, I thought it was important because, our lives are a lot of time based on this stat or that stat. And, the numbers say this or that or the other, but they absolutely can be manipulated. So every time I hear of a pollster or someone taking polls, taking stats, and numbers, I know that polls can be used for various purposes. They can be manipulative. Let me put it this way: if this Trafalgar Group was right in 2016 in pointing out that Trump would win Pennsylvania, they'd win Michigan and Wisconsin, good for them. And Trump may win again. I'm not saying that he will not. All the polls are saying he's way behind, but that doesn't. This pollster is saying that's different. Here's the thing that I find that just as an individual, looking at what this pollster Trafalgar Group has to say, that I would challenge is that he's saying that these poll numbers would have Trump and Biden in those critical states like Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, a point or two, Trump up 1 point in a couple of states, and Biden up 1 point in another states. So that's as tight as it can possibly get. My problem was this. He said the reason why this is so is because many of the Trump supporters are not willing to say they're going to vote for Trump. Now, that was potentially true in 2016, and it is proven to be true, and I think most pollsters would agree that people that were thinking about voting for Clinton but didn't want to vote for her said and didn't want to tell people they were going to vote for Trump. And ultimately, when they went into the booth, they voted for Trump, which surprised a lot of people. But I can tell you this. I don't know if you've ever seen the Trump rallies over the last 4 years and how excited his people are. I watched or listened or read with great amusement The Rise of the Third Reich with Hitler. And I watched the brutality of what had to happen with Mao Zedong turning communist China from dynasties and partial democracy into communism. The same thing with Vladimir Lenin in Russia or Fidel Castro in Cuba. And I'm not a historian, so I don't try to take some sort of precedence here, but the little I do know is that no place in the history of time has there ever been a candidate whose base of people that's going to vote for him are as excited as what we're witnessing with Trump. He is a winner, as far as I'm concerned. In my little history, and I don't claim to be a historian, but the little I know about leaders, I don't see a group of people, not even people voting for Nelson Mandela in South Africa, as enthusiastic. The African National Congress, if you go to the other side of that, was not really all that supportive about Mandela. Many people thought he was a sellout to de Klerk and to the Afrikaners to get out of jail. Well, that's another story. But I've not studied a period in time where people have been more excited and enthusiastic about their candidate. Trump voters they are ready to go to the whatever it is they need to go to get him elected. There's never been a group as excited as that. Not even that long-legged Mac Daddy Obama. Now, what I will tell you is this, so having said that, I can't imagine anybody who's going to vote for Trump, and you ask them if they're going to vote for Trump, they'll say, I don't want to say. I don't think that. I think anybody who's going to vote for Trump is going to tell you. So that way, I suspect that this Trafalgar Group polls can be flawed. It would not have been in 2016. But I think in this era, because these people want Trump president, they're ready to die for that man. And many of them probably have made the decision to do that. If they're definitely ready to die for him, they definitely going to tell you they're going to vote for him. They ain't going to be coy about that. They're not going to say, well, I don't know. They ain't going to do that. So I think you're wrong. You could be right, but I think you're wrong. Then on the other hand, I've never seen such enthusiasm against Trump. You know, a lot of people are standing in lines and 10 hours long in Miami and every place else to vote for Biden and Camelback ain't Black Harris. But it ain't because they like their policies. I think they know that both of them are frauds from way back when. And they know that Camelback ain't Black Harris ain't black. They know that. Plus, I think a lot of people are very concerned, especially suburban white women, that is Japheth women, are concerned that Joe Biden's ticker may not carry him through the first year. Next thing you know, you got Camelback ain't Black Harris as first black president, well, first woman president, alleged to be black. And I'm not sure that a lot of women, I think that the polls that are being taken about suburban women who are moving away from Trump, I think they're scared of Camelback ain't Black Harris. I think that they are. I think they think she's a Marxist, a leftist, and she is. And she definitely ain't black. I can tell you that. She's East Indian. She ain't black. Now, I don't know why it is, what it is, but these Hamite people always run now, always got to get a half-breed like Obama. He ain't black. Camelback Harris, she ain't black, but they always jumping up and down over half-breed. I think they don't think black is beautiful. I think they think black is ugly and they're trying to make it beautiful. Anyway, so I suggest, I think that what you hear in this poll situation is probably not going to prove to be right. However, Trump still may win. I'm not saying that he will not. Listen, let me turn the corner. I want to move on to one of Trump's former secretaries who worked for him for many, many years, who points out that Trump is running a con gang. And she's been in the media several times. There'll be others coming out of the woodwork over the next week. There are going to be so many worms crawling out of Trump's woodwork that you won't be able to shake a stick at. But this one says that Trump's a con man. He's always been a con man. And that's just how he operates. That's what he does, and he's very good at it. Meaning that Trump doesn't give a damn about these people wearing these red hats, caps. That is, he don't like them. He don't want to be around them. Even Senator Ben Sass, said that Trump talks about the evangelicals behind their back. And by the way, I haven't seen Robert Jefferson, anybody. I haven't seen them kissing up to Trump recently. But this woman is saying Trump don't want to have anything to do with these people that come to his rally. But he makes them think that he likes them. Roll that clip, Mr. Engineer. It's coming right up. Hang tight. It'll be right here.
His supporters love him and see him in a way that's not really about love. It's really the wrong word. Identity. He gets who they are. He understands it in a way that these other politicians don't. You say that that's his greatest con. How so?
Oh, well, he's, ever since way back when in the 78, when I started working on the Hyatt, he'd go around with the contractors and he'd glad hand them and he'd put his arm on their back. How you doing? What do you think of my building? Isn't it great? Blah, blah, blah. He had no respect for them whatsoever. He just, didn't, he knew how to play it, and he knew that would make him popular, and that's what he thought he needed to do. But I'll tell you a story that's in the book, which is a good story, really. When you finish a project, you have a big celebration. It's called the topping out party. It's actually when you finish the structure, and everyone gets
usually
together.
For the crew.
Excuse me? Oh, well, that's the point. That's my story. Oh. So when we told Donald we had to plan this, he was, oh, great. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. It's going to be great, 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 great. And at some point in time, we mentioned, the men, it's going to be hard to pull together with the men, because we had so many. And Trump said, what are you talking about? I don't want them there. It was like, but this Donald, this is for the men. It was all men at the time and still is. Not for the politicians and the owners and stuff, And it took us a long time to get him to actually, well, can't we just have the foreman? Do we have to have the men? I'm going to have champagne here and caviar. This is not for construction workers. And it was very, very telling to me because it was not even a thought to him. He had absolutely no regard for these people that were building this building for him. No regard at all.
This is a 30-year secretary of Tribulation Trump who worked for him for 30 years who says he's a con man. That he makes people think he likes them, but he really doesn't. And doesn't want to be bothered with them. And he's doing that. And what he is doing right now is his perfect con. You need to read the book Disloyal. I haven't completed it, but I read enough of it by Michael Cohen, who says basically the same thing. Trump's a con man. And he has no regard whatsoever. The people that vote, that come to his rallies, he probably loathes them and probably considers them worse than deplorables, as Jezebel Clinton called them. But they say this about Trump and his secretary. She's 30 years. She may have an axe to grind, might want to try to get at him. Michael Cohen may want to try to get at him, so they'll say some things. But I think all of us can obviously see that Trump is a con man, and he's a good one. He is very good at the con game. He's just good at it. You have to understand, anybody who can sell his name, and con. Listen, Trump has been in court over hundreds of legal issues, and he always wiggles out of them, right? He's never been arrested for all the criminal things he's done, and there have been many of them. He's a con man. He is a very good one. I don't say it because I'm want to promote con lifestyles as something utopian or good or something to be looked up to. But Trump is a con man. He's just good at it. There's some people that are great basketball players, like Earl the Pearl Monroe or Walt Clyde Frazier. Trump is a good con man. And he's running con. If you listen to him on the campaign, he's not doing a campaign speech, making promises about what he's going to do. He didn't do it in 2016. Lock her up, build a wall, lock her up, build a wall. He wasn't, he's running a con. And Trump realizes this, and he's good. Trump realizes this, that there's a sucker born every day. There's somebody going to go for the con game. The other day, somebody sent me a notice saying, a fax saying that somebody left me $1.9 million in a bank in Canada, and I need to fill out some information to be able to have it put it in my bank. Right, con game. You know how many people can fall for that con game? Do you know how much money those people make? Then they call from Egypt, from Africa, they call that and get people on the phone and say, this money has been left in your name or entrusted to you. Just give me the information of what bank it's to go into. Con game. There's a sucker born every day. In the used car business, they say, there's a backside for every car seat. Somebody gonna buy this piece of junk. I don't care how messed up it is. Some idiot gonna come in there and sit there and buy it. And Trump knows that. And I think that, now whether you want to judge that and making him a bad person, a good person, wait a minute, hold off a second. It's what he does. It's what he's good at doing. He trusts that. He's got political advisors around in this campaign now telling him to do this, do that, campaign this way, campaign that way. He doesn't do any of it because he doesn't trust it. Trump knows he's lived 74 years of his life, gotten to where he's gotten to even as the president of the United States by running a con. And he ain't going to change. Trump says this, if I lose, I'm going down, I'm going to lose my way. I'm going to do Frank Sinatra. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to get out there and I'm going to con. The debate tomorrow night is going to be about a con game. He's going to run con, flim, flam, and it's working. It's working. I mean, if Trump tried to get out there and start talking about policy, I don't know who would listen to him. Listen, here, you got to think about this just a second, and maybe you're not willing to go this far with me, but some of you might be. Think about this. COVID-19 is a deadly killer. It's a deadly pandemic. 220,000 people have died. Another 175,000 people are going to die over the next 12 weeks. It's a deadly con game. Trump's telling people it's a hoax. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen to you. You don't need to put on a mask. You're talking about a con man. Damn, he's good. I swear he's good. He's telling people don't put on a mask. It ain't going to affect you. It's a lie. Yet people are dying left and right. But Trump's telling people, the con man Trump, right? It's telling people, it's the Democrats, it's Biden, he's lying. It ain't going to happen. And they're believing it. And you and I know it ain't no hope. This COVID-19, this thing is a killer. But Trump is such a good, you ain't never seen nobody who can run a con like that. To tell people that they ain't gonna die from COVID-19 and they don't have to put on a mask. And guess what they say? We ain't wearing no mask. Trump says, talking about a con man. He's good. Now he's good. I don't know if it's gonna get him the election. And I'm not saying that being a con man is a good thing, but Trump got game. That boy got game. By the way, let me just clear up something. I said the other day that Trump is a comedian and acts like Richard Pryor. Let me take that back. I don't want Richard Pryor, the spirit of Richard Pryor, and Richard Pryor supporter to give it out. Trump is a Rodney Dangerfield. I want to, Rodney Dangerfield, I get no respect. Rodney Dangerfield, right? I get no respect. You remember him? Rodney Dangerfield. So Trump is Rodney Dangerfield. Me, I got to go. I'm James David Manning, everybody. I'm the Lord's servant. You will come in contact with someone who is infected with the coronavirus. And you can be right there in your own home, on your own doorstep. You are going to come in contact with someone who has the coronavirus.
On Thursday, March 5th, Heather Bauer went to a casual dinner party in her town of Westport, Connecticut. 4 days later, she felt achy and feverish. She had a temperature of 101. 5 days after that, she was in the coronavirus ward at Yale Hospital, fearing that she would die.
I believe that as many as 20 to 40,000 people from Fort Greene to Harlem, New York City will die.
A well-known ER doctor here in New York who battled to save the lives of so many others. Her family now says she has taken her own life.
What we see happening is simply the hand of God in the dismantling of an unjust society.
God says, I'm growing weary of all your feast and sacrifice. When you assemble before me, but you ain't been living right. I've seen you shout, I've heard you sing, but all that noise don't mean a thing till you break the bonds and loose the chains. I tell you that's my kind of praise. Help someone else before you pray. I want to bless if you'll obey. I see your heart, now mend your ways. I tell you that's my kind of praise. That organ music is mighty sweet. I like to hear it, but it ain't complete till you find a sheep that's gone astray and feed the poor along the way. Start cleaning up the mess you made. I tell you that's my kind of praise. The hymns you sing, sweet in my ear, but still my favorite thing to hear is the sound of feet out visiting. I tell you that's my kind of praise. That light will break through, I'll make a way. When you're in trouble, just call my name. I'll be your rock, I'll guard your way. You'll be my witness every day. Men see your works, glorify my name. I tell you that's my kind of praise. Then see your works, glorify my name. I tell you that's my kind of praise. I tell you that's my kind of praise. I tell you that's my kind of praise. But you can sing anyway.